On the wedding day, the bridesmaid appeared in a white chiffon dress, stealing the spotlight. I went to the backstage to rest but found her sitting on my husband's lap, crying and questioning him. Today, I'm wearing a wedding dress too. Does that mean I'm marrying you? My husband gripped her waist, moving with even more force. No, you worthless bitch. Do you even think you're worthy to marry me? Her eyes reddened instantly. Then what are we now? Is this your wedding night? She tried to leave, but my husband pushed her against the floor-to-ceiling window. Below, the wedding march played, and the one-way glass stirred his blood. My husband bit down on her neck and shoulder. Yes. I turned away and took off my veil as my assistant walked in with documents. The fake death project will take place in 7 days. We'll give the participant $5 million and console their family. Without looking, I signed the papers. The project continues, but the participant will be me. In 7 days, I would disappear from this world completely. Nicholas, wherever you go, you'll never find me again. Chapter 1. Chairwoman Lee, are you sure you want to participate in the fake death project? Once it's implemented, you'll vanish completely from this world, and no one will be able to trace you. The assistant's face turned pale with worry, but my decision remained unchanged. I've made up my mind. Just as the words left my lips, sounds of moaning and groaning echoed from the room behind me. The assistant's face shifted. You're married. Who would dare do such things here? He moved toward the door to see who was inside. I threw the documents at him, blocking his path. None of this concerns you. Go back and handle the project. He glanced at the door's crack and finally bowed his head respectfully. Understood, Miss Lee, but there are only 7 days left. I hope you reconsider. As the assistant left, I sighed in relief, but my heart felt as if it were being twisted in pain. Through the door crack, I could still see 2 entwined figures, occasionally accompanied by the sounds of moaning. The woman groaning inside was the bridesmaid from my wedding today, and the man was my husband, the leading man of the wedding. They were intertwined on the sofa, breathing heavily, and the air was thick with an intoxicating, suggestive smell. Baby, go easy. It hurts. Hold me tight. Let me know you love me. I know the one you really want to marry today is me. The man growled angrily, thrusting forward. Who do you think you are? Know your place. She is my bride, and that is a fact no one can change. I leaned coldly against the wall, feeling as though my blood was flowing backward. Who would have thought? The night before my wedding, my husband was already so eager to start our wedding night in the lounge. Everyone said that Nicholas loved me, treating me like a treasure, holding me in the palm of his hand. We grew up together as childhood friends, and at my graduation ceremony after I turned 18, he couldn't help but confess his love for me. But this seemingly affectionate man had been frequently involved with his intern over the past 3 months. His mouth often mentioned another woman's name. Although he complained about her clumsiness, I could see the smile in his eyes that he couldn't hide. From that moment on, I knew clearly, the man who once loved me was no longer there. Very well, Nicholas. 7 days left. I'm looking forward to seeing how crazy you'll go when you learn I'm dead. Chapter 2. In the lounge, the two of them were consumed by passion, completely unaware of what was happening outside the room. Angelica straddled Nicholas, crying as she questioned him. Today, I'm wearing a wedding dress too. Does that mean I'm marrying you? Nicholas gripped her waist, moving even more forcefully. What do you think? A bitch like you thinks you're worthy of marrying me? Then what is this? You've already ruined my wedding dress. Angelica's eyes turned red instantly, and she pushed him off, standing up. Does this count as your wedding night then? When Nicholas remained silent, she angrily tried to leave. Nicholas grabbed Angelica's hair and pushed her against the floor-to-ceiling window. Angelica's feigned resistance only sparked Nicholas's interest even more, especially with the view of the lawn below, where people were coming and going. Who would have thought? The groom today, through the glass, was fighting with another woman? Even the wedding march playing downstairs now seemed to accompany their rhythm, adding to the heat of the moment. Nicholas bit her neck and shoulder. Wedding night? Sure, it counts. The only sounds left in the hallway were the gasps of the two of them, and occasionally, Angelica's cries. You're going to kill me. You promised me tonight would be our wedding night. You're not allowed to touch anyone else. Little slut. You're not in a position to make demands of me. Her crying only seemed to fuel Nicholas's increasing intensity. Nicholas, as long as I can stand by your side, I'm willing to do anything. I covered my mouth, still unable to believe what was happening. In the end, I could only escape the scene in shame, running until I reached a place where no one could see me. It was only then that my tears could finally fall. By the time they came out, the wedding ceremony had already begun. Nicholas didn't notice the lipstick mark left on his collar by the other woman, thinking that in 7 days I could disappear, faking my death and leaving him behind. I completed the ceremony with him, my face expressionless. Wife, today is our wedding day. Why do you look so upset? It's nothing. I'm just really tired. It was supposed to be a day of joy, our wedding night. But every time I thought about Nicholas with that woman in the lounge, turning the room upside down, I couldn't help but feel disgusted and sick to my stomach. I claimed to be on my period and refused to sleep with him. Nicholas thoughtfully made me a cup of brown sugar water, and I lay with my back to him, unable to sleep. Chapter 3. The next day, I saw a post on a social media platform, wearing a wedding dress to attend your wedding. Does that count as me marrying you? The picture was unmistakably taken at my wedding. I spent the entire night going over the post repeatedly, looking at it from every angle. Not a single detail was missed. The wedding venue I had so carefully planned. The flowers on the backdrop wall were the ones I had chosen. The hand-tied bouquets I made myself. The stage design, even the menu for the day were all things I had picked out. Her photos didn't capture the full scene but focused on various details. And all of these details were part of my meticulous design. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision on her part. She was clearly challenging Nicholas's bottom line, and it was obvious that she had succeeded. I remember that night when my in-laws scolded Nicholas, asking where he had found such a bridesmaid, one so clueless and inappropriate. But he allowed it all to happen. Looking back now, it was as if they were making a fool of me in front of everyone. The wedding I had worked so hard to prepare for was destroyed by this worthless man and this shameless woman. What are you thinking about? Nicholas wrapped his arms around me from behind. A necklace appeared in front of my chest. Do you like it? I thought of you when I saw it. It was from a brand I liked, but it wasn't the style I preferred. It looked like something hastily bought to placate me. Before I had a chance to respond, his phone rang. Without bothering to finish putting the necklace on me, he tossed it onto the table in front of me and hurriedly walked out. I have to take care of something at the company. He didn't answer the call. He just said there was something at the company. In the mirror, I saw his lips curl into a smile he couldn't contain. As the CEO of the company, Nicholas knew I was considerate and would never make things difficult for him with work. But this was hardly the first time this had happened. Now, I realized that much of it was likely due to his extracurricular activities. As soon as he left, I got in my car and followed him. His route was in the opposite direction of the company. I trailed him until he parked in the basement of a shopping mall. He was hugging the weeping bridesmaid Angelica, comforting her, while pulling out a gift box from his pocket. How laughable. I immediately recognized the brand. It was the same one he had given me. My eyesight was excellent, and it was the very same necklace I had liked before. I had spent a long time looking at it in the store and had even shown him pictures of it. Now, he was lowering his head to put it around her neck. She scolded him for being clumsy. You're so useless. You can't even put on a necklace? I've never put a necklace on a woman. You're the first. It's only natural that I'm out of practice. All right, I get it. Angelica took the opportunity to turn her head and kiss him. Nicholas cursed, "Demon," before passionately kissing her in the parking lot. Not long later, the two of them broke apart, breathless. Angelica playfully slapped his chest. I put on makeup for you today, and you ate all my lipstick. After hearing this, Nicholas was clearly aroused. He immediately pinned her against the car and kissed her again. Who told you your lipstick tastes so sweet? As I watched, Nicholas seemed about to drag Angelica into the car. Angelica struggled. The movie's about to start. I've been wanting to see it for so long. I don't want to rush into the next thing with you. Has your wife not satisfied you? Nicholas swore under his breath but didn't release her. Why did you have to mention her? Angelica pressed herself even closer and spoke in a more coquettish tone. Then tell me, whose lipstick is sweeter, mine or your wife's? Nicholas obviously didn't like this question. He froze and furrowed his brow. Angelica's chest rubbed against his arm. Come on, tell me. Don't you know? I cried all night after the wedding. I didn't even dare call you. My eyes were all swollen from crying. In the end, Nicholas couldn't resist her attack. He sighed, his tone softening with affection. You know, I've been with her for 5 years. I had no choice but to marry her. I've long since stopped having feelings for her. On our wedding night, I promised you I wouldn't touch her. I'll try my best not to touch her in the future. No wonder he had rushed me to sleep so soon after we finished with the red envelopes on our wedding night. A chaste man, indeed. As I watched their departing figures, my resolve grew even stronger. Today marked the 6th day before Monica would disappear from this world. From now on, I would be reborn. Chapter 4. That night, Nicholas didn't come home. No phone calls. No messages, just like any other late night at the office. Only, this time, a secondary WeChat account sent me a friend request. She was direct. Her reason for the request was, I have some photos. Do you want to see them? I ignored her. She didn't give up. It's about Nicholas. I left her hanging for 2 hours before accepting the request. She eagerly sent the photos. They were pictures of the two of them in an intimate moment. Only Nicholas's face was visible, but his expression showed an indescribable satisfaction. She thought these would hurt me, but I had stopped caring long ago. Our company's newly developed project was designed to allow people to let go of the past and be reborn. At the same time, the videos of the participants, from the moment they signed the contract until their eventual death, would be recorded and could be played to people they knew in life. So, this meant I needed to be a good actress. I needed to play the role of someone devastated by heartbreak in order to give this fake death project a perfect conclusion. So, trembling, I clutched my phone. I crouched on the floor, crying uncontrollably. Tears once unleashed could not be stopped. It was my farewell to those 5 years. Nicholas returned home the next morning. As usual, he kissed my forehead while I was still asleep. When he saw I was awake, he smiled apologetically. Did I wake you? I was so busy last night. I had to stay at the office. I just went out and bought your favorite soup dumplings. I have to rush back to the company now. In fact, I hadn't slept all night. I nodded. You go ahead. He looked disappointed. I've been working so hard. Don't I deserve a little reward? Saying that, he pointed to his cheek. I forced down my disgust, kissed him quickly, and acted shy. Hurry and go to work. Don't be late. Before our wedding, Nicholas had already told me he wouldn't be able to take a honeymoon because his career was at its peak. But last night's secondary account told me, do you know why he didn't go on the honeymoon with you? Because he couldn't bear to hurt me. Every night that you were alone in the room, he had me again and again. He told me every inch of my skin fits perfectly with him. He even asked me to leave marks on his body. Oh, and he said he's disgusted by you. You're like a dead fish. I smiled and watched him leave. It was time for me to leave as well. I packed my things, ready to leave this home at any moment. Every decoration I had carefully arranged felt like a knife piercing my heart. There wasn't much to take, just a few pieces of clothing. I didn't want anything else, including Nicholas. Chapter 5. I ran into Nicholas and Angelica on the street, although the two were walking side by side, with no overtly inappropriate behavior. Their close proximity clearly indicated their intimate relationship, but Nicholas seemed flustered. Angelica, on the other hand, was full of warmth as she hurried over to wrap her arm around mine. Sister-in-law, you're here too. She then casually patted Nicholas's chest. Nicholas, why didn't you say sister-in-law was coming? We could have had dinner together. Nicholas was awkward, quickly explaining. Angelica couldn't find a job, so I let her come work at our company. It's just a part-time position. Angelica, still clinging to my arm affectionately, added. Monica, thank you so much for before. My ex-boyfriend was so angry. You're truly the best woman. And Nicholas is such a good man. When he heard I didn't have a job, he arranged one for me. Oh, how did he get angry? I asked, suddenly interested. Nicholas quickly changed the subject. Monica, are you looking for me? I couldn't help but smile as I looked at him. He had learned how to lie, but hadn't learned how to hide his nervousness. Tomorrow is your mom's birthday. I came to buy a gift for her. Nicholas looked guilty. I've been so busy lately. I forgot about it. I'm so lucky to have such a good wife. If it weren't for you, my mom would have scolded me to death. He naturally walked over to my side. I'll go back to the company later. Let's go pick out a gift together. Perhaps because of his guilt, he was unusually generous that day. Not only did he pick out a gift for his mom, but he also bought me jewelry. I could see Angelica glaring at us with jealousy, but I pretended not to notice. Even in front of her, I either hooked my arm around Nicholas or kissed him happily on the cheek. When it was time to pay, Angelica stormed off after finding an excuse. Nicholas also made up a poor excuse. Honey, I suddenly have a stomach ache. Why don't you pick something else? And I'll pay later? With that, he rushed off. I calmly chose a large ring for myself. Half an hour later, he returned in a hurry. He had clearly cleaned up, but he didn't realize that his hair was still damp. And he was panting. Even his collar had traces of something ambiguous. Honey, did you wait long? He asked, not even blinking as he swiped his card to pay. Complaining. Why did you pick such a small ring? Do you want to get something else? One of the clerks praised him. Miss Lee, your husband is so generous. Another clerk chimed in. I wish I had a husband like that. I'm so jealous. Nicholas tried to hug me, but he didn't notice the disgusting smell on him. I stepped back. Mom has called me several times, asking me to visit her. We haven't gone back in a long time. You should go to the company now. He didn't realize anything. Okay, my queen, whatever you say. As soon as he left, my phone received new photos. This time, they were pictures of the hickey on her neck. She continued taunting me. The bathroom was so exciting. There were people outside. To keep me quiet, he had to kiss me the whole time. In this thrilling situation, he had me 3 times. He said the most exciting part was knowing his wife was waiting for him outside. To act out the emotions, I smashed my phone when I reached the parking lot. I crouched down and covered my face, pretending to cry. She thought she could provoke me, but in 5 days, I would be completely free. Chapter 6. Mom. May your years increase with the heavens and your life be blessed with longevity. I raised my glass for a toast. To be honest, Nicholas's mother had always been kind to me. Mrs. Liu smiled at me directly. When are you two going to give me a big fat grandson? That would make my life worthwhile. Nicholas was always well liked by the elders. He immediately turned to his parents and mine, expressing how much he cared about me and how he wanted me to live for myself a little longer before considering such matters. Hearing his grandiose words, the only ones I felt sorry for were my parents. They thought they were watching me walk into happiness, but in reality, it was a deep abyss. Okay, I won't rush you, Mrs. Liu said immediately, but I'll still say it in advance. We like both genders. We're not biased. This dinner wasn't easy. Nicholas had already turned off countless phone calls. The more he ate, the more he struggled to keep his anxious emotions under control. I pretended not to notice his restless gestures and chatted cheerfully with both sets of parents. In a way, this was my farewell to them. After the intervention of the system, everyone except my parents would think I was dead. Nicholas, are you eating or attending a meeting on your phone? Mrs. Liu voiced her displeasure. Are you really that busy? At this point, I spoke up for him. Mom, the company has taken on several big projects recently, and Nicholas has been working overtime. Please don't mind him. Nicholas was grateful for my defense and quickly seized the opportunity to escape. Mom, I've practically been living at the company. There's something urgent. I have to leave now. Before anyone could react, Nicholas had already left. I claimed I was going to see him off and followed him outside. Mrs. Liu laughed behind me. You two lovebirds can't even stand to be apart for a moment. Nicholas drove fast and didn't notice I was following behind him. When we reached the destination, I saw her standing on the bridge waiting for him. She stepped over the guardrail and shouted, Nicholas, if you're 1 minute late, I'll jump. Nicholas was also getting angry. You can be mad, but don't joke about your life. She, in a fit of rage, replied, "Why do I want to die? Because you're with her. I'm jealous. I'm going crazy with jealousy." She started crying again. "I miss you. I really miss you. You haven't been replying to me. I thought you didn't want me anymore. Calm down. Come down first. Let's talk properly." Nicholas tried to approach her. She screamed, "You liar. You said you wanted to marry me. But now you're marrying someone else in front of me. I'd rather die. You've married her. What am I supposed to do?" Angelica, standing at the edge of the bridge, had already noticed my presence. She shot me a provocative glance. "You can't marry me. But how about we go on a honeymoon together? Just the two of us." Nicholas seemed a little conflicted, but his hesitation didn't outweigh his attraction. He made an excuse about being too busy to go on a honeymoon, and I, being considerate, agreed. "Come down first. I'll tell you what. I'll go on a business trip with you. Is that okay?" She pushed further. "I want you now. Right this minute. Tonight. If you don't, just wait for me to send my body back to you." Saying that, she leaned further over the edge. Moments later, my phone received a new message. "Wife, I have an urgent matter tonight. I need to go on a business trip for a few days. Take care of yourself. I'll be back soon. Remember to eat well. Otherwise I'll feel bad." Nicholas, concerned about Angelica's safety, didn't notice me standing below the bridge. He pulled Angelica back from the edge. With anger, Nicholas grabbed her by the neck. "You're so disgusting. You think this is a joke?" Angelica, still smiling despite being choked, replied, "Nicholas, you can't live without me," without caring about her being choked. She kissed him directly. Nicholas's hand didn't loosen. Instead, he grabbed her by the back of the head and pulled her in closer. The two of them finally ended their passionate exchange. Angelica looked at me one more time, a look of triumph on her face. She jumped onto Nicholas's back and yelled, "I want to eat you up right now." She struck a victorious pose, raising her hand in a peace sign, taunting me. "Nicholas, we've gone on our honeymoon. What should you call me now?" Nicholas's voice finally carried a hint of indulgence. "Wife, hubby, you're amazing. Let's go to Japan, okay?" I watched the scene coldly. This was the 4th day of my countdown to death. I burned all the photos related to him. I packed my things and completely left our marital home. I watched them laugh and play, trying to reach him on the phone. Nicholas couldn't free his hands to answer. Angelica pulled his phone from his pants pocket and hung up the call. Later, he forgot to return my call. Chapter 7. I said I wanted to go out, but he wouldn't let me. We stayed in bed for an entire day and night. He's so amazing. I can barely keep up. By the way, he said he wants me to have a baby for him. So we didn't use protection. We went to the hot springs together. He wouldn't let me go, taking me again and again in the water. He said, "You're so boring in bed." He listens so well. "How long has it been since he touched you?" There were various photos to support the messages. I glanced at my phone once more, then quickly put it back into my bag and headed straight to Nicholas's company. As soon as I arrived, someone approached and said that Miss Lee had gone on a business trip, but everyone's expressions were different, and there was an underlying tension in the air. "I know, I'm just here to pick up a document for Nicholas." As the CEO's wife, no one dared to stop me. I walked towards the CEO's office, and the young lady looked even more flustered. I opened the door to Nicholas's office without hesitation. The spacious office had an additional desk. It was very noticeable. This was the first time such an arrangement had been made since the company's founding. I casually pointed to the new desk. "Whose desk is that?" The young lady was so nervous she stammered. "Aw, Leach, yeah, that's the new CEO assistant's desk." "CEO assistant? What's her name?" "Leach, yeah, her name is Angelica." I nodded and told her to leave. "By the way, Nicholas knows about the documents. Don't disturb him again. He's been quite busy these past few days." She quickly agreed and left, looking greatly relieved. Normally, very few people could enter the CEO's office. Looking around, everything seemed normal. No one would ever guess they could be so bold. I pressed my fingerprint and opened the door to the private lounge within the office. The bed sheets were clearly messy, as if they hadn't been cleaned up yet. At home, Nicholas only insisted on dark-colored, minimalist sheets. He said anything else was too vulgar and didn't fit his status. Now, however, there was a pale pink lace sheet on the bed, the kind he had once claimed was tacky. The wardrobe was filled with various sexy nightwear. The shower area was crowded with female products. On the bedside table was a photo of them together. Ironically, on the desk outside was a photo of Nicholas and me. By their bed was a notebook. I opened it and found it was her diary. It detailed every moment they spent together, including the intimate times they had. The funny thing was, when he suggested setting up a rest area in the office, he said it was for me to visit him and rest comfortably. He emphasized the best soundproofing to accommodate my delicate sleep quality. At the time, I truly thought I was happy. I destroyed everything in that room. When I left the office, everyone looked at me with pity. I didn't walk straight out. Instead, I went to the bathroom. Sure enough, it was a great place for eavesdropping on gossip. I feel so sorry for the CEO's wife. That Angelica is practically climbing over her head. Don't get me started. All she does is flaunt her charm and act like the boss lady. Remember that cleaning lady, Leonti? Just because she knocked over Angelica's cup, Angelica forced her to quit. The other day during the meeting, while Nicholas was presenting his PowerPoint, she purposely sent a message saying, "Darling, how about seafood for dinner tonight?" just to show off her position. Suddenly, I remembered something and made a call to the company. By the way, if I'm going to die, I might as well do it thoroughly. I need a child. Chapter 8. This was the second to last day before Monica disappeared from this world. It was also the day Nicholas returned from his honeymoon with Angelica. Finally, Nicholas sensed something was wrong. He desperately tried calling me. I didn't answer. He knew where I had been living before we got married, and it didn't take him long to find me. "Wife, what's going on? Why did you just move out without a word?" I looked at him without saying a word. He pulled out a pile of things from behind him. "I bought this chocolate for you in Japan. I heard these kinds are especially popular with girls." "Who told you that?" As soon as I asked, he froze, quickly explaining, "Of course, it was the sales assistant. By the way, why did you move here? Why aren't you answering your phone? Do you know how worried I've been? I thought something had happened to you." It seemed that he had just returned home and hadn't had a chance to check the rest area in his office. We had made a promise that, no matter what, whether we were fighting or whatever the situation, we would never ignore each other's calls, so the other wouldn't worry. I knew it was time to lay everything out on the table. I pulled a photo from my pocket. It was a picture of him and Angelica, snuggling up and eating ice cream together. His face immediately changed. "Wife, no. Please let me explain. She's my assistant, and she was involved in this project. That's why I brought her along." Seeing that I didn't believe him, he quickly swore. "This photo, it must have been an accidental angle. We just happened to lean together. One is a personal shopper. She just ran into you guys." "Wife, is this why you left home? For this?" He raised his hand again. "I swear there's nothing going on between us. Don't you believe me?" I took out my phone, found the post from Angelica's secondary account, and handed it to him. I slapped him across the face. "Don't you think having a 3-person wedding is a bit crowded? If you love her so much, why didn't you just marry her in the first place?" At this point, he was still hiding the truth from me. "Wife, I admit, we were together for a month in college, but now we're just colleagues. Don't be unreasonable, okay?" I pushed him towards the door. "Colleagues? Did you share a bed in the same dorm? Do you want to take a look at your office's rest area?" "Nicholas, let's get a divorce." His face drained of color. He begged and pleaded, refusing to divorce. He was left outside the door for an hour before. Reluctantly, he walked away. Not long after, the door rang again. This time, the voice that spoke was Angelica's. "I know you're in there. Can we talk?" I opened the door, and she calmly stood in front of me. "I sent Nicholas to buy me some roast duck. You probably thought he came to find you because he regretted it, right? Look, you pushed him away. And where did he go? He came to me. I should actually thank you. Are you here to gloat?" "No, as a woman, I'm just here to advise you to know when to stop. She took something out of her pocket and handed it to me. It was a diamond ring, the kind a man can only buy once in his life. He ordered it for me. It just arrived today, and he engraved my name on it. He said I'm the one he wants to marry. I looked at her coldly. I just told him I wanted a divorce, but he refused. Don't think that will anger me. She smiled again. He said he doesn't want your child. So every time you two did it, he made sure there was protection. She patted her stomach. I've been with him for half a year. Do you think I'm pregnant? Get out. Get out of here. I couldn't be bothered to listen to her blabber. Recently, her acting skills had improved, but I could only stop her with a hysterical outburst. I shoved her out the door, but she pushed me back with force. He doesn't love you. Why do you think you deserve to sit and lose position? She hit me hard, and I fell to the ground. She wasn't satisfied and even climbed on top of me, slapping me twice. I grabbed her hair and pulled, secretly yanking out several strands. She wasn't getting the better of me, so she finally walked away, flaunting her victory. Once she left, I felt a warm liquid spreading under me. To be honest, we were really doing a thorough job with this project. If I didn't know I wasn't pregnant, I would have been terrified by this lifelike blood. I called for an ambulance and was sent to our company's partner hospital, Anyang Hospital. Thus, I got a miscarriage slip. This time, I didn't contact Nicholas. Chapter 9. Nicholas relentlessly tried calling me, but I hung up each time. As per my request, I forced myself to return home from the hospital that very day to rest. When I got back home, I saw him waiting outside my door, in his perfectly tailored suit. He looked somewhat tired. Monica, where have you been? Can't you stop messing around? Come home with me. I pulled my arm away from his grasp. I told you we're getting a divorce. Do you have a hearing problem? There were only 2 days left. I had no intention of going to get any divorce papers. I'll make Angelica leave today. He tried to justify himself. She seduced me. I was drunk and out of my mind. I don't love her. I only love you. I'm calling the HR manager right now. He was pulling out all the stops. I looked at him, finding it ridiculous. And then? Are you going to keep her somewhere else? How can I make you believe me? He looked desperate and in pain. You don't trust me? Move back in and watch over me. Can you give me a chance? I shook my head. You've asked me so many times, but the answer is still divorce. That night, he called me again from a new number. His voice was full of affection. Tonight is the 6th anniversary of us meeting. Are you really going to leave me here alone? I replied, taking his cue. Nicholas, you don't love me. Why can't you just let me go? I won't cling to you. I only want a divorce. He shouted in refusal. Impossible. Monica, I'm telling you, I only love you, even if I die. It's you. I abruptly hung up the phone. But the phone rang again right after. This time, it was Angelica calling. Didn't you install surveillance in your house? Want to see something interesting? I obediently turned on the living room monitor. What I saw was Angelica, wearing nothing but Nicholas's shirt, swaying as she walked toward him. She climbed onto his lap and wiggled a bit. I'm jealous. You're comforting her. You said you only love her. Why don't you say you love me? Nicholas, irritated, pushed her off, and she fell to the floor. Angelica, you've crossed the line. Between Monica and me, you have no right to interfere. Angelica quickly pulled up the shirt, revealing her curvaceous figure. Nicholas, I'm just jealous. We have a business partnership with their company. This is a critical moment. Don't be willful, he snapped. Angelica immediately calmed down and didn't get angry. She got up, cheerfully saying, okay. I got it. I made dinner for you. Do you want to eat? She guided him toward the dining room. The table was empty. Where's the dinner? Angelica casually sat at the dining table. Crossing her long legs seductively, she began to slowly unbutton the shirt, revealing that she wasn't wearing anything underneath. With a provocative gesture, she beckoned him. I'm here. Do you want to eat or not? Nicholas walked over, and they immediately started making love right on the dining table. I could tell that I was watching them through the monitor. Angelica was putting on quite a show, moaning louder than ever. In this situation, Nicholas became unusually forceful. They tangled all night, from the dining table to the couch, from the couch to the bed. As for this fake death, I chose to let only my parents know the truth. I don't regret it. I just feel a little guilty towards my parents. Chapter 10. This is Monica's last day on Earth. At this moment, Angelica was sitting in front of me, crying pitifully. I heard from Brother Nicholas that you two became distant because of me. She was acting so much like a green tea now, clearly knowing that Nicholas was nearby. So what? She paused, surprised. I know you're angry with me, but actually, Nicholas and I are just like brother and sister. Is that so? I laughed. So brother and sister sleep together? Your diary was quite vivid. Nicholas has already fired me. I won't interfere with you two anymore. That has nothing to do with me. Suddenly, she stood up, grabbed my hand, and started crying. Sister-in-law, what do I have to do for you to forgive me and brother Nicholas? Should I kneel down? She really tried to kneel in front of me. I coldly watched her without stopping her. She could kneel if she wanted to, but before her knees even touched the floor, Nicholas appeared, just as I had guessed. He had been waiting here. Monica, I've fired her like you asked. How much further do you want to go with this? Brother Nicholas, don't say it's my fault. I was the one who overstepped. It was just a knee, nothing more. If sister-in-law is willing to come back, I'll do anything. Nicholas's hand was unwilling to leave her shoulder. Her loud voice drew questioning looks from the surrounding people. I smiled and replied, Go back? Go back to using your strawberry-scented shower gel together? As soon as I said that, Nicholas's expression changed again. He pushed Angelica away. Monica, listen to me. If you come home with me, I'll do anything you say. I refused. Go comfort your sweetheart. You're disgusting. Nicholas hesitated, still holding a crying Angelica who looked on the verge of fainting, but didn't chase after me. Not long after I left, I received a call from the fake number. He's in the shower right now, using the strawberry-scented shower gel. If I were you, I'd just find somewhere and jump off. Just die. I hung up the phone. Then, following the procedure, I chose my own death method. I told my business partner, then let me just find somewhere and jump off. I might as well die. Chapter 11. Monica's death made it to the trending news. At midnight, she found a river, and without a second thought, jumped in. The surveillance footage showed she didn't hesitate for even a moment. She drove to the bridge, got out of the car, and walked towards her death. When my parents received the news, they cried uncontrollably. It was a river, but large enough with strong currents that by the time her body was found, it was covered in wounds. Even her face had gruesome injuries, let alone her lifeless body. I calmly watched the entire process through the system's live broadcast. Seeing my parents kneeling and crying, I too shed tears, even though I knew I was still alive. Seeing a body that looked exactly like mine lying there, what parent could bear it? When Nicholas saw my body, he had just left Angelica's side. He looked devastated, holding my body and crying uncontrollably. Angelica, who had come with him, looked very panicked, probably not expecting Monica to really be dead. But she maintained her composure. At that moment, people from our company's fake death project showed up. It was worth the expensive price. A group of impeccably dressed men appeared. The leader addressed Nicholas, who was crying in despair, saying, Mr. Liu, Miss Monica purchased our cloud streaming system. She said the last footage she wanted to release before she died should be made public. Nicholas didn't want to miss any opportunity. Mr. Liu, if you agree, please pay the fee to access the video here. Once again, it was a hefty fee, just as I had requested. Everything was done for profit. At this moment, on my desk, there was a set of identification documents and a photo album. Starting today, my name is Julia. I've lived in City A my whole life. All the experiences of my life, from childhood to now, are detailed in the album in front of me, with accompanying explanations. Having already settled in City A, I even purchased property here. I glanced up again at the live broadcast from Nicholas's side. The group had returned to the Liu family villa and sat down to watch Monica's life unfold. After only a few glances, Nicholas kicked Angelica, sending her flying and making her roll on the floor in pain. Did I not tell you not to mess with Monica? What are you even to me? How dare you go behind my back to find her? How dare you? Chapter 12. Angelica was kneeling on the ground, pleading for mercy. Nicholas, I love you too much. Please don't kick me. I'm pregnant. I didn't expect her to kill herself. I just wanted her to leave you. But the death playback didn't give her a chance to explain. Every word of provocation she uttered, every photo that stirred the situation, was magnified in front of the audience. My parents had always been very fond of Nicholas, so they had always treated him well. This time, my father directly swung a punch at Nicholas's face. You beast. Is this how you treat my daughter? She never once said a bad word about you, even in death. My mother cried on the side. You said you'd treat her well for a lifetime, but you pushed her to her death. The entire process of Nicholas and Angelica making excuses to go out on dates was also shown. Every time. It was like a slap to Nicholas's face. Mrs. Liu couldn't help but scold her son. Are you blind? This kind of woman. And you still look at her? My mother couldn't take it anymore and went to scratch Angelica. Angelica tried to resist, but was kicked to the ground by Nicholas, who had gotten up. The video showed Angelica coming to my place to cause trouble, pushing me hard, and I was sent to the hospital and had a miscarriage. It's impossible. She's lying. She said she wasn't pregnant. At this moment, Angelica still tried to salvage her reputation, shouting loudly. Then, the leader of our company's fake death plan took out the miscarriage report from his pocket and placed it on the table. We do things with evidence. The hospital's document can't be forged. You can go check. And there's also the video. The video showed that on the day Monica was hospitalized and learned of her miscarriage, she passed out from crying 3 times. Later, when the doctor asked if the baby's father should be notified, Monica, lying weakly on the bed, said in a lifeless voice, no need. The baby's gone. The baby doesn't have a father. At that moment, Nicholas collapsed on the floor, crying uncontrollably. I have to praise the realism of the video I personally designed for this project. Even I almost got fooled. But this wasn't the most shocking part. Angelica, now reduced to a corner, trying to make herself as invisible as possible, waited in silence. But the next second, the clip of me answering the phone came on. This was the final straw that broke Monica. On the other end of the call, Angelica's voice was amplified. He's taking a shower right now, using strawberry-scented shower gel. If I were you, I'd just find somewhere and jump into the river. It'd be better than living. Chapter 13. The death playback video showed that long after receiving that phone call, Monica sat motionless by her bed. Later, she took out the miscarriage report from the drawer, stared at it for a long time, and then casually tossed it aside. Without changing out of her pajamas, she went straight out and got into her car. What awaited her was death. Angelica, unaware that even the conversation's voices were being amplified, begged desperately, please don't hit me. I was wrong. I'm carrying your child too. Nicholas acted as if he couldn't hear her. He kicked her hard, and even punched the nearby glass coffee table, shattering it. Enduring the pain in his hand, he grabbed a shard of glass and pressed it against Angelica's neck, drawing blood. You killed my child. I'll make you pay for this. You're not worthy of bearing my child. Only Monica could. If you don't get rid of it, I'll use this to slit your throat. Angelica had seen Nicholas act arrogantly before, but she had never seen him this crazy. Frightened, she forgot to cry and immediately said, I'll get rid of it. I don't want the baby anymore. Nicholas got up and walked away from her. Get lost. Don't let me see you again, or I'll kill you. Angelica, clutching her stomach, scrambled to her feet, stumbling as she fled. At this moment, Nicholas knelt in front of my parents. Monica is gone. What can I do to make you feel better? We don't need to see you again, my mother said, unwilling to look at him. From now on, we're no longer involved. Our families have no more ties. My parents left, but I knew they wouldn't let Nicholas off so easily. My father left a final remark. Some of these projects were gained through my connections. Now, it seems, let's see who has the real skill in the future. Lying on the bed in a city, I watched my parents, even at their old age. Still fighting for me. I felt guilty but helpless. But I had to endure. I couldn't just reunite with my parents so easily. Here, I found a laid-back job. I lived alone in the apartment I had bought in advance, which matched my new identity as Julia, an orphan without parents. My appearance now, at a glance, resembled Monica's, but upon closer inspection, the differences were obvious. This was the brilliance of the company. Their ability to create such a realistic transformation was exceptional. A colleague of mine, Lisa, invited me out. I'm telling you, you're too quiet. After work, let me take you to see the world, she said. $3,000 a month. I drink coffee that costs hundreds. Where do I have the qualifications to see the world? I teased her. She dragged me along. Where? You think I'm taking you to a bar? I'm taking you to a new restaurant that just opened. You know, the waiters there are all muscle-bound college students. Sure enough, women do get drawn to beauty. It was a barbecue restaurant where the gimmick was that college students wearing nothing but aprons would grill the meat for you. The waiter at our table was clearly new and shy throughout. Hey, little brother, don't be shy. Big sister just loves grilled meat, Lisa boldly said. This sister just had a breakup. Can you grill a few more pieces for her? Lisa kept teasing, making the college student blush even more. Don't tease him. I laughed, pulling Lisa back. The guy is working hard as a part-timer. It's not easy. But Lisa didn't stop. She even grabbed the guy's arm and squeezed. Julia, don't you like muscles? I quickly grabbed her hand. Hey, what are you doing? She was unashamed. Don't like it? I often see you watching handsome guys' videos. They also let you touch them. So what's the big deal? Well, now it was my turn to be embarrassed. These days, it's not easy for college students to work part-time, and they have to be teased like this. Before I could stop her, the college student spoke up. Sis, can you be more serious? Sis? I looked at Lisa. She sheepishly said to me, Aw, he's my brother Pablo. He saw your profile on my social media and fell for you at first sight. I grabbed her arm. Your brother is a college student, and I'm older than him. How can you be setting him up like this? He likes you, so let him be. What's it to me? To dispel her thoughts, I mentioned that I was an orphan. Neither of them cared. Big sister, you don't have anyone to take care of you. Let me take care of you from now on. I'm not asking you to agree right now, but I want a chance to pursue you. I couldn't do anything about his persistence and could only keep rejecting his kindness. 6 months after the fake death, my parents opened a company in a city, under the pretense of not wanting to stay in the place full of painful memories. Soon after, they met me. Naturally, they took me in as their goddaughter. During these 6 months, I hadn't inquired about Nicholas at all. However, because of his fame, I had inevitably heard some news. All of it pointed to him not being in a good state. His company was falling apart. My father mentioned, Moni, Julia, after your sister left, I cut off all cooperation with their company. From now on, there will be no ties between our families. I didn't inquire about Nicholas's mother either. But with this new identity, once I got close to my parents, it was unavoidable that I would come into contact with Nicholas. During the new year, which was also 6 months after Monica's death, I met Nicholas again. He brought various gifts to meet my parents, but they refused to let him in. I was standing upstairs by the window, watching him. He looked exhausted. Unexpectedly, Nicholas was persistent. When the gifts didn't get through, he bought new ones and brought them to the door every day. One day, when I was watering the garden, he saw me and rushed over. He grabbed me in an embrace. Monica, you're alive. I pushed him away and slapped him across the face. Are you crazy? Who are you? Chapter 14. He stared at me for a long time, still in disbelief. You're not Monica? I laughed. I get it now. You're my sister's ex-husband, right? You're the murderer who killed my sister. How dare you still show up in front of my parents? Hearing the commotion, my mother came rushing out of the room. Nicholas, get out of here. Do you think our family needs you? You killed one daughter, and now you're trying to mess with another? That's impossible. Nicholas shook his head in disbelief. You only have one daughter, Monica. My mother broke down in tears, pushing him out. I supported her as we walked back. Looking at him coldly, I look like my sister, so I became their adopted daughter. The biggest difference between Monica and me? I'm not as tall as she was. Monica was 172 centimeters, and I'm only 165 centimeters. In terms of appearance, I looked less like her than most people would think. Nicholas could see all of that, especially the height. How could that be shortened so easily? But he didn't want to admit it. I helplessly pulled Pablo, who had been pursuing me, to my side and asked him to pretend to be my boyfriend for the time being. He flexed his muscles. With me protecting you, I'm not just for show. I said seriously, Pablo, I'm using you. Pablo's voice was even more serious. I've heard about the situation from my sister. Actually, I've been secretly escorting you to and from work these days. I'm worried he'll cause you trouble. When I didn't take the initiative, he did it quietly, a thoughtful man. I ran into Nicholas again on the street. He just asked, "How about a drink? I want to talk." I looked at him mockingly. I have nothing to talk about with a murderer. Because of you, my parents have been crying every day for the past 6 months. I continued. My sister was gentle, but she was naive. You bullied her like this, and she couldn't do anything. Just sacrificed her life. If it were me, I would have stabbed you and that woman. And if I were to die, I'd die with you both. Nicholas's face soured, but he had learned by now. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to ask about your sister. I've never met her. Everything I know about her was told to me by my parents after her death. I said, glaring at him, you love her so much. Why didn't you die with her? Nicholas smiled bitterly. Yes, I should die, but I only want to take care of her parents. Stop being disgusting. My parents have me. What are you? I think my sister's biggest regret was not divorcing you before she died. Please stay away from me in the future, or I'll call the police. Nicholas seemed almost mad, grabbing my arm as I tried to leave. His eyes were filled with desperation as he muttered that he hadn't seen Monica in a long time and just wanted to see my face. At that moment, Pablo rushed over. He punched Nicholas square in the face. After landing the punch, Nicholas collapsed to the ground. Who are you? Nicholas asked, bewildered. I'm Julia's boyfriend. You scumbag. How dare you touch her? Pablo grabbed Nicholas by the collar and turned to me. Julia, if it were your sister, would she want me to beat him up? Definitely. I glanced around and decided to keep watch. My sister was soft-hearted. I'm not afraid of trouble. She had no one to speak for her when she was alive. But now that she's dead, I'm here to protect her. In that moment, I felt a strange sense of justice. In Monica's shell, she had been the Lee family's precious daughter. Every word and action was scrutinized by others. She wanted to go crazy, but she could only lock herself away in her room. That's why Monica had to die. And I, Julia, am just a lonely, hot-tempered orphan by nature. Perhaps hearing my words, Nicholas, lying on the ground, no longer fought back. I crouched down to look at him. Ex-brother-in-law, do you think I'm beautiful? You wanted to see Monica, but she's already turned to dust. If you want to see her, go to the cemetery. You can join her there. I pulled Pablo away. He stayed silent throughout the walk. I had wanted to tell him about Monica, not wanting him to feel used without understanding the full story. My sister committed suicide. She loved him deeply, but he cheated and let that woman bully her. She couldn't bear it, which is why, suddenly, he hugged me, his eyes filled with concern. Sister, even though our future's uncertain, if you're with me, I'll give you everything I have. If I wrong you, just take the money and leave me behind. Make me lose everything. My adoptive parents are wealthy. Do you really think I care about your little bit of money? I've been making money by joining competitions, Pablo said earnestly. I've been doing well in my studies, and companies are already inviting me even before I graduate. Sister, you have to believe in me. I wanted to reject him, but I suddenly couldn't say it. I grew up in an orphanage. I'm emotionally lacking. I had planned to stay single for the rest of my life, so I can't promise you anything right now. He raised his hand and swore that if I didn't agree within half a year, he would leave and never bother me again. 8 months into my life as Julia, I heard the latest news about Angelica. After being abandoned by Nicholas, she had gone to the hospital due to injuries. At first, she had just wanted to fake a pregnancy to save herself, but when she arrived at the hospital, she realized that her lie had become a reality. She had actually miscarried. With all the evidence of her bullying Monica, and with Monica's suicide leading to a serious situation, Nicholas sent Angelica straight to the police. She was charged with causing Monica's death and sentenced to 5 years in prison. Nicholas, once again acting violently, escalated his charges, and the sentence was extended to 15 years. Because the Lee family's daughter had cried out for justice over Monica's death, all of Angelica's past misdeeds were exposed. The woman who had once tormented others became the target of public scorn. This time, even Angelica's parents couldn't hold their heads up in front of relatives and friends. They claimed they had no such daughter and even threatened to sever ties with her. Chapter 15. I agreed to Pablo's proposal a year after Monica's death. My distrust of Pablo stemmed from his age, but it seemed like he didn't care about my refusal. He just silently waited for me. Even Lisa sometimes advised her brother, saying that I was probably destined to become a nun, and if things didn't work out, he should just give up. Yet Pablo always said it was his lack of effort that made me look down on him. Ever since I agreed to be with him, his sister stopped calling me sister-in-law and instead always followed me around. Julia, let's go on a date today. Every little detail made me feel loved. This was a scene I had never experienced with Nicholas. Even after being with him for so long, Nicholas had been born the son of the Liu family. Like me, he was trapped by his status and couldn't live freely. He had to learn how to manage the family business while still in university, so he had very little time to spend with me. Looking back, I realized that, at the time, he really did love me, but it was also a love bought with money and time. Now, I was just an adopted daughter of the Lee family. After my death, my parents no longer had any expectations of me. They only wanted me to be happy, and they indulged whatever I wanted to do. What are you thinking about? Pablo asked as he carried me on his back. Walking along the beach, the contract I had with the fake death funeral company meant I couldn't tell the truth. But I still wanted to say something. I once really liked someone. Later, I realized I loved the wrong person. So, what are you telling me this for? I don't know. I just feel like I need to tell you. He squatted down, and I climbed down from his back. He turned around and hugged me. So, Julia, the fact that you loved him means he was worth your love. Now that you love me, that's enough. I was persuaded by him. I pushed him and turned away. Keep carrying me. I can't walk anymore. Who told you to wear high heels? How was I supposed to know we were coming to the beach? I hit him in frustration. I just wanted to look prettier. Don't you like it? I do, he said shamelessly, but I prefer it when you're not wearing them. I smacked him again, but he didn't let go, running while shouting, "Sister, stop hitting me. I was wrong." Being in love doesn't require thinking too much about the future. The future is always one step at a time. As long as we try, that's all that matters. 3 months into my relationship with Pablo, my mother suddenly told me, Nicholas is dead. His last wish was to be buried with Monica, but we refused. She looked at me, and I didn't ask any more questions. I just simply said, I know. Then my mother didn't say anything more. Whether he was alive or dead, or for whom he had died, it was no longer something I cared about. My life was no longer about Monica, and I no longer needed Nicholas.